Hey there! Welcome to the latest episode of Talking Cinema. I haven't done one of these in a while. And a lot of the ones that I have done haven't been really strictly movie news related. Some of them have been, but they've just been talking about one topic. And I got a doozy for you. That's why it's got this crazy title up above here. I'm going to try to cover more than a few weeks worth of movie news from Cinema Blend in one video. So I'm going to try to keep it as short as I possibly can. There's some topics I'm going to skip. There's some news that I'm not really that interested in, that I'm really not going to talk about that much for. I mean, I really don't see a point to really talk about news that I don't really need to talk about or feel the need to talk about. But let's get started, shall we? Ugh. It's a lot of shit. Okay. I'm going to start off with this one. This is something I wanted to make a video about and talk about it before, but I never really got around to it. And this is technically old news because it was 3 weeks ago. But Tom Rothman, aka the fucking fuckhead, Nimrod, douchebag, asshole, who used to be the head of 20th Century Fox, who's now the CEO, the big guy in charge he's the head of Sony. Tom Rothman said this quote in regards to people who have criticisms or have a problem or don't like the idea of the new Ghostbusters movie. This is what he said. Everybody says I'm making the female Ghostbusters, but I say no, we're making the funny Ghostbusters. Yes, it happens to be 4 women. It's original. You get pissing and moaning on the internet, sexist comments, but, you know, fuck them. Really, Tom? Really? I got something. You want to hear my thoughts? Fuck you! How about that? You gonna tell me to fuck off? How about you go fuck off? How about you do that, Tom? You incompetent piece of shit. You're one of the worst fucking CEOs or heads of any industry or any studio I have ever seen. If James Cameron didn't save your ass by just deciding to direct a new movie and it was Avatar and it was in 3D, you would have no career right now. So, maybe you should shut up. Maybe you should zip it. Maybe you should shut the fuck up. Maybe you shouldn't be saying shit. And maybe you should not be digging this already deep hole in regards to this film's horrible PR even deeper than it already is. You see, there is such a thing as, oh, bad publicity is good publicity because any publicity is good publicity. But in this case, it's not helping because this film has got nothing but shit. Because, for one, a lot of us aren't interested in this film. A lot of us Ghostbusters fans didn't want to see a reboot in the first place. Some of us did, but a lot of us didn't. And you're making matters really worse by trying to act like this film is some groundbreaking movie, that it's some girl power anthem, and that it just doesn't make any sense to me. Stop lying to me. You made this film and you had it have an all-female cast because you just want to make money. That's it. You want the Paul Feig bridesmaids spy. You want that audience. You want that money. You want that revenue. It's not because you trying to do some big grand revolutionary thing and trying to break new barriers in terms of how women are treated on film or some great big new role for women to play. No, this is just an excuse to get butts in the seats, and they're not getting my butt in the seat in the first place. And with everybody involved from this film, who they put a microphone in their face, or they are supposed to say something to somebody online, they just make themselves look terrible, and they make the movie look like the most shallow piece of shit imaginable, because you have the director who's getting mad at fans. You have you have the head of Sony now telling everybody to fuck off who happens to have a problem with it, and at the same time sounds like a brain dead moron. Like comments like this: everybody says I'm making the female Ghostbusters, but I say no, we're making the funny Ghostbusters. Have you seen the movie yet? Do you know it's actually funny? Um, and by saying this, are you saying that the first two Ghostbusters films are not funny? Like, if you're saying that, that's just messed up. But then he just further, just completely makes himself appear like the biggest idiot imaginable with more of this shit. Like, yes, it happens to be 4 women. It's original. No, it's not. It's not original. It's just a reboot. It's just, hey, let's make a Ghostbusters movie, but let's just, you know, we don't want to do another sequel because the other casts are too old. So let's just have, you know, an all-female cast. It's not that original. You just took an old idea, which was the Ghostbusters franchise, and you just did some gender flipping. It's not that fucking unique. It's not that original. I'm tired of seeing this shit. I'm tired of seeing these movies being portrayed as original films and these characters who just get gender flipped because whatever, why not, being lauded as some big deal. It isn't. It really isn't. It's not even for the right reasons. That's what's upsetting to me, is that it doesn't even really empower women with this type of film. It doesn't. It's just, we just want Paul Feig's, we want the Paul Feig money. We want the Paul Feig audiences. Do you think for 1 second the 20th century fuckface made this film and wanted to make it because they wanted to empower women and that's why they casted the people that they did? Bullshit! They didn't do that. So now, and then with this, there's an easy out for the studio and for the directors and people involved in the film that really upsets me, because you see it in these comments by Tom Rothman, you see him in comments from Paul Feig, you see him in interviews with some of the cast, and pretty much one of those things that, well, if you happen to not like the idea, or you really don't like what you've seen so far in terms of the pictures that have been released, which look horrible, by the way. They look like fucking garbage. They look like garbage men or garbage women. Or they look like sanitation workers. That's what they look like. You know, and they look like they're going to be taking out the trash on Friday, you know, afternoon or Friday morning or sometime. They look like the men at work. That's really not... It's not Ghostbusters. And they got these stupid looking, like, orange reflective shit. It just looks like... It looks awful. And then even their car looks bad. I mean... So that's what I have to look at. What I've seen so far for pictures looks like shit. I don't like the idea of the movie. It's just a reboot. It's a reboot of the franchise. It's nothing original. It's nothing unique. It's nothing new. It's the same thing we've already seen before, but just switch the genders, and then, okay, they're not the same characters, but we're gonna have the same actors from the original film that have weird, pointless cameos in this movie. That just shows that you don't really have any faith in the film in the first place. And then with this constant negative stream of reactions of the people involved from the movie, shows that, to me, they're scared. Shows to me that they're being defensive because they are realizing that this might not be the home run that they thought it was going to be. But there's a different way that you can handle this. Because by reacting the way that they have reacted, it's going to drive even more people away from the movie. It's not going to make people going to want to see it on opening weekend. It's not going to convince the people who didn't want to see it to go see it. In fact, that's just going to further convince them to not see the movie and to not give somebody as disrespectful as Tom Rothman any money for this for this fucking movie. Why would I want to give money and pay to see a movie, this movie, Ghostbusters? By the way, if it was original, why does it have the same title as the first film? Why the fuck does it have the same title as the original movie? Why is it called Ghostbusters? Why doesn't it have a subtitle underneath it? Why? If it's so original, and you are making the female Ghostbusters, you really are. That's when you decide to do this decision, when you make the cast all female, for the most part, you're making the female Ghostbusters, and it's not like that's a derogatory comment or it's a bad thing. It's just you're making the female Ghostbusters. It's not a bad thing. I don't understand why it's considered a bad thing, but I can see why. I mean, I don't really like the idea of the fact that a lot of these movies feel as if they're just gimmicks because we really don't have that many all-female cast films other than romantic comedies like Bridesmaids, which is nice. I like Bridesmaids, but at the same time, when you take a franchise like this and you just gender swap it, don't tell me it's not the female Ghostbusters, because that's what it is. Are they female? Yeah, they are. So I don't see why that's such a bad thing. Now, yes, there are some sexist pricks out there just being assholes about this, and I don't agree with any of those people. They're a bunch of sexist assholes. But that doesn't mean that all of us who have a problem with this movie or don't like the idea of it are sexist assholes. So this shouldn't be. So none of this. I have an easy way out, from the studios and the people involved with this film, because if you don't like it, then you're a sexist, because that's a bunch of bullshit. So fuck you, Tom Rothman, and this movie can go fuck itself. And it just sounds like a total, complete train wreck. And I really hope it flops, because it deserves to flop. This movie deserves to bomb. Not because it's not a girl power thing. It's not a female empowerment anthem. It's not one of those things. It doesn't deserve to flop because it has an all-female cast. It deserves to flop because of the way that the head of Sony and the way that the cast and crew have behaved and acted when it comes to any criticism towards this idea and this film. That's why it deserves to flop. So, if you're looking forward to it, be my guest. But for me personally, I'm not giving this film a cent. It doesn't deserve it. Because you have an asshole of a CEO of a head who is basically telling you to fuck off if you don't agree with his opinion. Me, on the other hand, I can be opinionated, but at the same time, I respect other people's opinions, and I have no problem with them. I'm not going to tell anybody to fuck off if they happen to be excited for this film, or they want to see it, or they do feel that it might be an empowering movie for women. If you feel that way, that's cool too. I don't personally agree with that. I don't think that's not really why this movie was made. It wasn't made to do that, but if you feel that way, cool. But I'm not telling you to fuck off. But Tom Rothman is. And it's not pissing and moaning on the internet either. It's just sharing your opinion. And there's nothing wrong with that. And it's not whining, and it's not moaning, and it's not crying. It's just people sharing their opinions and sharing their thoughts on this new Ghostbusters. And a lot of us aren't happy about it. And and by saying, you're saying that we're pissing and moaning, but you're doing the same fucking thing? You can't tell me. That's what really pisses me off when people say, oh, you're just a bunch of whiny nerds. And, and you're not whining either? Because you're whining about how we decide to share our opinion? By your logic, everyone is a whiner. Seriously. It's just opinions. That's all it is. And there's nothing wrong with it. That's what makes this world interesting. It's not whining. It's not moaning. It's not pissing. It's not crying. It's just people sharing their opinions and their thoughts on a movie, a song, anything, politics, whatever it is. It's just people sharing their thoughts. That's how I interpret it. I don't interpret people just going, "Oh, you're just a whiner," and you're whining about me. So what? So I mean, I don't get it. Don't understand. So I've gone 15 minutes about just this, but I was waiting for that. I was waiting to do that, get that rant out of the way, because I've been right in my basement for a while. You have this Extraction trailer, the new Bruce Willis movie. Looks like shit. Wow, Bruce Willis. He's turning into this. He's turning into Steven Seagal. And it's sad. He really is. He's starring in nothing but shitty direct-to-video movies. He's embarrassing himself in public. He's doing all just awful shit. The only thing that Bruce Willis needs to do now to complete the transformation is to do a blues album and start singing about his ass. War of the Planet of the Apes, don't care. I haven't seen Dawn of the Planet of the Apes. I haven't seen Rise of the Planet of the Apes yet. I don't really give a shit. Zoolander 2. Yeah, being boycotted because of the character played by Cumberbatch, where he's androgynous and he's part woman, part female, part male. And I guess the transgender community is getting pissed off, and I'm like, he's not transgender. He's both genders. How is this offensive to your gender identity? How is that offensive? I really would like to know, because he's playing both genders. I mean, it's not just a transgender character. I mean, lighten up. Serious. Live action Winnie the Pooh, I don't know, really. Mila Jovovich looking like an old bitch in pictures for the new Resident Evil, which is supposed to be the last one. Yeah, I watched the movie make millions again, and then, yeah, we're going to bring out some more Paul Wild, Stanley and Anderson's fan fiction starring Alice. Vin Diesel's Riddick's going to be a TV series. I don't understand why. G.I. Joe franchise, do something with the sequels. I don't want to see any more of those movies. Let's go to the next page. I mean, previous page? Yeah, previous page. Alright. Star Wars 7 footage. I already saw a lot of these trailers. I'm just gonna say, okay, want to hear my thoughts on Star Wars Episode 7? I did a whole video about it, like I'm not impressed. Well, pretty soon after I made that video, I saw the international trailer, and I actually liked it. And then I've seen a few other trailers that have actually made me interested in seeing the movie. Now, I'm not gonna see the movie at opening weekend, because there's no chance I'm gonna get a ticket, and I don't want to deal with that craziness. But I will see it on a weekday after it comes out. So I will give the film a look. So I'm at least interested now. Really wasn't as interested at first. And what is up with international trailers being better than American trailers? Why? Why is a Japanese trailer better than the American trailer? Why are the American trailers so half-assed in terms of their editing? I really don't understand it. J.J. Abrams admits a big problem in Star Trek Into Darkness. Yeah, let's basically rip off Wrath of Khan, including the ending. Although I don't mind the movie, but I don't know. I haven't seen the film since I saw it the first time, and I think a lot of my enjoyment was because Weller was in it. Peter Weller was in it. It was awesome. So I don't know. I don't know how that film will hold up with the second viewing. Kevin Smith's Yoga Hosers will hold its world premiere. Fuck yoga hosers. And Kevin Smith, stay away from the fucking pot. Please. Fuck's sake, please stop. Disney's Zootopia, I don't really care. Yeah, Neil Blomkamp's Alien was basically been canceled and put on the shelf because Ridley Scott wants to do not one but 3 fucking Alien prequels. Like, what the hell are you doing, man? 3? I don't want to see 3 fucking Alien. I don't want to see 3 more Prometheus films. The first one sucked. Why are we even getting it? We're getting a sequel because it made money. But it was such a divided audience. Like, the people either loved the movie or they hated it. It was just, why are we getting a sequel? Just because it makes money doesn't mean that you should automatically do a sequel every single time. Some movies should just be standalone films and not have sequels. And it's called Covenant? Would Ridley Scott play Halo? And then just thought, oh, that's a good idea. I like that title. Let's throw in the Covenant in here. And then I hear it's supposed to be, there's going to be xenomorphs in it, but then there's not going to be, or that they're going to be xenomorphs. It's like, make up your fucking mind already, Ridley. I swear to God, I think Ridley Scott is, I think he's going senile before our eyes, and we're just not doing anything about it because he's Ridley Scott. We're just still letting him direct movies, which is, I don't know if it's the best idea, but the same thing. I've heard about The Martian, and I haven't seen that yet. I heard it's really good, but I've seen a lot of good reviews for Prometheus too, and I didn't care for that movie. I love Ridley Scott when he's on his game, but when he's not, I don't like Ridley Scott. It's the same way I feel about any director. And I just don't like the idea of these Alien prequels. I didn't give a shit about Prometheus. I choose to believe the movie sucks. And it was a movie that was as dumb as a box of fucking rocks. It was a fucking bimbo. It was trying to act like it was smart, but it was a bimbo. And it wasn't any better than a B-movie alien ripoff from the 80s. Creature with Klaus Kinski was a better movie than Prometheus. So now we're getting a sequel called Alien Covenant, and I guess it's not necessarily a Prometheus sequel, it's just called Alien Covenant. I just don't understand this. It's over-explaining the franchise. And why do we need 3 of these movies? And I didn't even need 1. And Neil Blomkamp has been very hit and miss lately, but I would have been more interested in his Alien film than Ridley Scott's Prometheus 2, or Not Really, or Alien Prequel Part 2, not Prometheus 2. I don't really give a shit. It just, why? Why? Fuck. There's going to be Evel Knievel movie that Martin Scorsese might direct. The Aquaman script isn't as far along as people might think, of course. Barbershop 3, don't give a shit. I've never seen the first 2. I don't plan on seeing the 3rd film. I don't give a fuck about Barbershop 1, 2, or 3. Hunger Games is not going to end because they're thinking about doing prequels now. Please just stop. I'm sick of Hunger Games. I'm sick of them. And I'm sick of Jennifer Lawrence. I'm crazy, controversial thought here, but this is my personal opinion. I don't think she's that great of an actress. She was I've seen clips of her film where she supposedly won an Oscar for, and it was a good performance, but it wasn't anything that was particularly memorable. It wasn't a performance that I'm going to remember for the rest of my life. I've seen her performances in these Hunger Games movies, and I'm not impressed. I've seen her clips of her trying to be the leader of the X-Men now in X-Men Apocalypse, and I'm not impressed with that. Not impressed with her performance as Mystique in any of these new X-Men movies. She just really underwhelms me, personally. I think she's talented, but I'm not impressed by her. I know a lot of people are, to each their own, but I just think she's an incredibly overrated actress right now. I just, it's cool that she's got a personality off screen. Maybe she needs to show more of that personality on screen because it seems like she's almost completely devoid of it when I see her in a movie, except for that, the Silver Linings Playbook, and she was good in that, but in the few clips that I've seen, but it wasn't anything that I'm gonna remember. So I don't get it. I don't understand why she's like the biggest star, one of the biggest actresses working today. I mean, is it because she's just good looking? Is that it? And she's young? I don't know. I don't know what it is. I've just never been impressed with her. And I'm not looking forward to her being the leader of the X-Men, which is ridiculous. Deadpool, Fox is doing, it's crazy. I don't like what Fox and Singer are doing with the X-Men, but what they're doing with Deadpool, I don't mind so far. Deadpool's got his costume, Colossus is going to look like Colossus, like he's supposed to. It's really kind of pathetic and sad that the Deadpool movie is going to be the more comic book accurate X-Men movie than the X-Men film. That's pretty crazy to me. And then you have, with Deadpool, they've been doing a really good job with their advertising. With the Twitter and with the trailers and with the teasers to the trailer and with the promos, like the Comic-Con promos and all of that. And they have this new thing that if you sign up on this website called Deadpool Core, you will get exclusive pictures and clips that'll be emailed to you, and you'll be a part of Deadpool's team, and you get a personalized message from Deadpool sent to your inbox. It seems like Fox is really embracing this film's R-rated sensibilities. They're embracing it, and it's pretty shocking, and I hope it works out. I really hope the film is a big hit, and I hope it's good, because I love Deadpool. I'm a huge Deadpool fan, and if it sucks, man, that's gonna rip my heart out. And that'll probably be the last straw for me for Fox. I'm about, it's only because it's a Deadpool movie that I'm giving 20th Century Fuckface a chance here. And, we'll see if it works out, because recent history has not been very good at all. So the track record is not good. So the chances of Deadpool being good are not good. But hey, it's Deadpool, and I'm just gonna throw myself out there and just and see what happens. But from what I've seen, I like what I've seen. I like the fact that, like I said, it's R-rated, and I hope it's a hit because then it'll make it so R-rated superhero films can be a thing again, and we can see more R-rated superhero movies, and there could be more superhero films for adults. And I really think that would be nice to see. I already talked about Civil War and Batman vs. Superman. Anything that deals with those, I'm not going to talk about. I already talked about them in video. Just really not going to talk about those movies. I've already said enough. The Revenant, it's directed by the director who did Birdman, who I really think he's a very talented director. But The Revenant just doesn't interest me. The period piece, it just does not interest me. I mean, I'll see the film sometime, but just not anytime soon. Tom Cruise may be the lead in the Mummy reboot, but then it was like, no, he won't. But this new chick, we're gonna gender swap the Mummy, but then it has nothing to do with the Brendan Fraser film. So just title it something else then. You know how many fucking Mummy movies there are? There's way too many. Come up with some different title. Hey, how about you do an adaptation of Jewel of the Seven Stars, the Bram Stoker novel, which I think some parts of the 1932 film with Boris Karloff were kind of inspired by that book. And why don't you do an adaptation of that? If you have the female mummy, which there was a female mummy in that story, let's do an adaptation of that. Call it Jewel of the Seven Stars. Why not? If it's a good movie, Then people will want to see it. If it's got a good idea and a good concept and a good ad campaign and a good trailer, people will be curious. They don't have to have The Mummy as the title for people to want to see the film. I'm sick of this shit where studios think the title is the most important thing. Just because I recognize the title does not mean that I'm going to be I'm going to go see the film. Try a little bit harder. Make a movie that doesn't need the title to sell it. Doesn't need a recognizable title that we already know to sell the movie. I mean, for example, Point Break remake. That's not going to be a hit. The only chance it has of being a hit is it making huge money in China, and the studio knew that, and that's why they released the film early in China. Let's make some money, but it's not going to make that much money in the U.S. And that's why a lot of these high-grossing movies, Jurassic World, $1 billion all over the place, and it did make a lot domestically, but you're seeing a lot of these films break box office records lately with their worldwide gross because of China, because of the domestic gross, and because of a huge gross from China. So that's why you're seeing a lot of these huge films break so many records. It's not that hard nowadays for a film to break box office records with a worldwide gross because of how crazy China is in terms of just eating up any crazy big action blockbuster that we choose to distribute overseas. When you look at the numbers from China alone, it's not that hard now. And it's crazy. Now the idea of a huge billion-dollar movie in the worldwide box office is not uncommon. We've had 2 of them. Did we have 3 of them this year? Jurassic World, did Furious 7 make $1 billion or close to it? We had the Avengers Age of Ultron. I think it made $1 billion or close to it worldwide. It's not that hard nowadays because of the China box office. It's crazy. But going back to my point, look at a remake like John Carpenter's The Thing or The Blob. Yes, it has the same title as the original movie, but it's a completely different movie. It has different characters, it has a different approach, a different story, and if it wasn't called The Blob, it'd still be as great as it is, and it'd still hold up on its own. So stop clinging to, oh, we need the recognizable title when it comes to these reboots or these remakes or these new concepts. Like if the Ghostbusters reboot, if you wanted to make an all-female Ghostbuster type movie, do it. You don't necessarily need to call it Ghostbusters. You don't necessarily have to use that franchise either. But Sony, of course, wants the Ghostbusters franchise money. They want that because they know that's a huge audience. That's why I'm scared. I'm scared Back to the Future remake. It could happen. It really could. It definitely could happen. A Back to the Future reboot. Considering Ghostbusters, you're getting a Ghostbusters reboot. Back to the Future reboot could be in the works. And that's scary to me. That's just reboots and remakes and loose sequels or prequels that we don't want, like The Thing, 2011, just because there's an audience for it. Just because there's an audience for it doesn't mean that you should be doing this shit. Why don't you come up with something different and something that you don't necessarily need an already established audience for? It's just lazy. It's completely laziness. And I understand why you make sequels and you make movies based on comic books, but this recent just trend of all these remakes, I don't get. I really don't. We've had more remakes released in theaters, folks, in the past few years than there have been in 1 year in the 1980s. 1 year! Just 1 year, or maybe even the entire decade. It's pretty crazy. It's getting out of hand. Sorry for that, moment of silence there. I had to catch my breath. Catch my breath. Oh yeah, there's a story from Dolph Lundgren, about from Rocky 4 when he punched Sly so hard that it like made his heart bounce off the walls of his chest, and like, and Sly could have seriously been hurt or died if he didn't get to the hospital right away because it's causing a regular heartbeat. It's crazy, man. That's a pretty crazy story. Definitely more interesting and a story that I'd rather read than the next Men in Black movie. Gonna be female Men in Black. What is up with this trend of gender flipping these franchises? If Ghostbusters started it, now all these other movies gonna be like, oh, gender flip, gender flip, gender flip. Why? Because we can do it. Because this movie did it. And why not? Let's just gender flip shit. Because we're in a PC world anyway. So let's just do it so we can get the social justice warriors on our side and go see our movie and write articles about it and then praise us. And then we can get, then we can talk shit to people who don't like it because we can all put it under the guise of those people are sexist. It's perfect. No, it's not. It really isn't. If you really want to be truthfully, you know, gender, uh, really want to respect the different genders and you really want to break new ground, then you just make a movie that isn't a reboot of Ghostbusters and it's its own film. And it's these four funny female comedians who are just, maybe you do something else with it. They don't catch ghosts. Maybe they do, like, I know people will say, well, it'd be a ripoff anyway, but I'd be fine with a film where they catch monsters, for instance, or fight monsters, rather than just a Ghostbusters reboot with an all-female cast. I'd rather see that. Because then they don't have this, oh, they need a franchise that's already established in order for them to get their particular, cast involved. I mean, in order for them to get in the spotlight, they need this franchise. And it's too bad. I'd rather them just have their own franchise. That would be even more revolutionary for if you really want to talk about respecting, the opposite sex. Give them their own franchise, not a retread. But no, they don't trust. They don't have enough trust in that idea. They're hinging on the fact that Paul Feig, the director of all these hit movies, and the fact that it's got an all-female cast, just like Bridesmaids. It's going to be another Bridesmaid. It's going to be Bridesmaids plus Ghostbusters, and it's going to equal double the success. It's going to be as successful as Bridesmaids and as successful as Ghostbusters, and that's wishful thinking on Sony's part. Very wishful thinking. You have Tarantino's new movie, The Hateful Eight, which is going to be like in 70mm, but only if you live in one of the few places where it actually is showing in 70mm. And I don't really care because the trailer was alright, but it just doesn't look like my type of film. I'm not a big Western fan anyway, so I might check it out sometime, but just not anytime soon either. Incredibles 2, I can't wait. Really liked Incredibles. Kickboxer Remake is already planning a sequel. And you haven't even released your trailer yet, at least your full trailer. And you're already planning a sequel? Well, that's really, you're really thinking ahead of yourself there, Kickboxer Remake. I think you're, I think you're being a little bit too optimistic. I really do. Way too optimistic. Civil War, Victor Frankenstein, a movie nobody saw, because nobody wanted to see a Frankenstein prequel. And then it becomes a Frankenstein movie anyway, so it's like part prequel, part he builds the monster. It's like, we've seen this done a million times already. Just come up with something else, other than just another Frankenstein movie. Do something like Frankenstein. Do something like what Henenlotter did with Frankenhooker. That was unique. That was a new take on Frankenstein. It wasn't the same thing. Pride, Prejudice, and Zombies trailer. No, thank you. The concept just doesn't interest me at all. Yeah, Victor Frankenstein was a huge bomb. Gremlins 3 might follow Jurassic World's model. Right? Please, why? Don't fucking follow Jurassic World. It's it's gonna be a sequel slash reboot. I hate that shit. Just make a sequel or fucking do a reboot. Don't do both. Especially if it's gonna be like Jurassic World. I guess maybe if you do a sequel or reboot, that technically is better than a remake. But at the same time, it's how you handle it. If it ends up respecting the first two films and doesn't use them just for nostalgia bait, like Jurassic World did, then, I'd be okay with that. Maybe bring in Zach Galligan, bring in Phoebe Cates, have them play the same characters. Don't have them play completely just cameo roles and not even play the same characters. That makes no sense. Have them play the same characters. And then maybe have them hand the torch off to these new characters. Fine with me. But if you want to do a sequel slash reboot, then do it the right way. And actually do an actual sequel. And not some half-ass sequel. And then more reboot than actual sequel. Gem and the Holograms is a bomb. No shit. I knew that was going to bomb. I'm not surprised at all. I'm really not. It was a stupid idea. And any fan base, that anyone who might have seen it, the diehard Gem fans, didn't see it because the film basically told them to fuck off and just said, well, the cartoon, well, who fucked the cartoon? We're making a generic girl band movie, and that is nothing like the movie. Nothing like the cartoon at all. Although we have some sci-fi element in it, which makes no sense. Whatever. I've just heard about the movie. I've never seen it. I don't plan to see it anytime soon, and I'm perfectly fine with never seeing it. Ecto Cooler might be coming back. Okay, if there's one good thing that comes from this crappy Ghostbusters reboot, it's Ecto Cooler. Mission Impossible 6 found the perfect director. It's going to be the same guy who directed Rogue Nation. Cool. So I really liked Rogue Nation. Really enjoyed it. George Lucas still thinks Han didn't shoot first. Shut up, George. Just shut up. Shut the fuck up, George. I know I've done 2 videos about you, and I've said that people should appreciate you, but at the same time, you're not making it easy with this stupid shit. You wear a t-shirt that says Han shot first on the set of Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, and then you're saying Han didn't shoot first because Han's a hero. And oh fuck, my fucking webcam, great. George Lucas froze my webcam. Just talking about him is fucking messing shit up. Let's just keep this short. George, no, Han shot first. There's none of this bullshit that Han didn't shoot first because Han's a hero and he's not a smuggler and he's not a bad guy. Han is not cookie cutter, hero. That wasn't the point. Why do you call him a smuggler if he's supposed to be some cookie cutter hero? He's not Luke Skywalker. That's the point. So there's a different dynamic going on. So we don't have the same two same characters. We don't have so it's not bland. So you don't have, we just have another Luke Skywalker. It's good. That's a good thing. It's not a bad thing. It makes Han a more interesting character. Han shot first. That's what it shows in the first cut of the original, unedited, unaltered version of Star Wars. Han shot first. There's no questions about it. I don't care if you changed your mind years later and thought that Han didn't shoot first or should not have shot first. Doesn't fucking matter. Because this is just insane. What other filmmaker can you think of is looking back at his old movies and just second guessing shit and is like, that didn't actually happen. This is how it actually happened. Yeah, alright, whatever. Uh-huh. Stupid. 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 Shut up, George. Bold idea Gremlins 3 may use to spice up the franchise. Do you know what a fractal is? A fractal is when you have one thing that's a piece and then you put them together, it makes an entire piece. This is Zach Galligan speaking. So if you had a little baby pyramid, you put other pyramids together, you make one big pyramid. So the gremlins would all mass together and form one huge gremlin. Kind of like a Godzilla-sized one that bursts out of London, knocking over Big Ben and stuff like that. I don't really like that idea. That defeats the purpose of the gremlins. They're supposed to be these small, clever, sometimes cute, mischievous creatures. And they're supposed to be dangerous in mass. For them to just turn into one giant gremlin, that's just generic and boring to me. I don't agree with that at all. And I love you, Zach, but no, I don't want to see that in a Gremlins sequel if they do make one. Oh yeah, about Creed. I'm gonna see Creed eventually because I'm planning on getting started with the Rocky films pretty soon, and I'm gonna start off though with a review Over the Top, and then I'm gonna start with the Rocky films. I'm gonna see Creed, but I have a strong. I haven't even seen it yet, and I already think the film is massively overrated. There's another boxing film that came out this year that I'm really looking forward to, which I will also watch pretty soon, called Southpaw. And the plot to me is so much more interesting than the plot of Creed, which just seems like one part Rocky and another part Rocky 5. It seems like stuff I've already seen before, done a million times in the Rocky franchise, and it's just only difference is that Rocky is training Apollo Creed's son. Instead of Rocky in the final fight, it's Creed. Instead of Mickey in the corner, it's Rocky. I mean, it's a lot of the same stuff we already saw before. I don't get why it's getting a 9 out of 10 or any of these like huge high ratings, but I guess I'll see it for myself eventually, and maybe, maybe, we'll see. That's all I can say about it. We'll see. Maybe it is that great. If it is, I'll say so, but I have my doubts. I really do. I have a feeling that, my personal feeling is the movie's going to be above average, and that's going to be about it. It's going to be better than Rocky 5, but it's not going to be any better than any of the other Rocky movies. And it's definitely not going to be better than Rocky Balboa, but that's just how I look at it. Because I honestly think this film is kind of pointless in a lot of ways. I understand, yeah, we're going to establish, Rocky's battle with cancer, and he establishes a relationship with Creed because Paulie died, and of course Adrian died, so he has no one now. So he's going to establish a relationship with Creed's son, and the way that I've seen in the trailer, it's like, why should I give a shit about Creed's journey? Why should I give a shit about Adonis's journey? Because it seems to me like he's a spoiled rich kid who got in fights at school because he wants to be a fighter, and he doesn't want people to compare him to his father, which sounds like a bunch of... I mean, that's not... it's his opinion, but it does sound pretty spoiled and petulant and just... if there's anything that sounds like whining to me, that's what it sounds like to me. Some spoiled rich kid who's moaning about, oh, I don't have respect. And, you chose to get in those fights at school. You're choosing to live in your father's shadow. You could choose not to do those things, and you could choose not to get in fights in school, and you could just choose to become a boxer and do none of those other things, and there wouldn't be any problem. I'm just saying, you don't have to live in your father's shadow, and you don't have to get in fights in school either. Now, it's not like he's some poor guy who's living on the streets. It sounds like he was raised by Apollo's wife, and she took him in, and he's got money. It's just, maybe I'm completely wrong. Maybe he got kicked out of the house, and then he's like living on his own and all this. But I'm just spitballing. I haven't seen the film yet. This is just my interpretation of the trailers that I've seen. But Michael B. Jordan doesn't look like he's doing that bad. Not at all. And Stallone looks like he's going to do a good performance. It just almost doesn't seem like it's necessary to me. Especially after Rocky Balboa, which ended the franchise perfectly. Freddie Mercury biopic just took a huge step forward. I love Queen, I love Freddie Mercury, so I'll be curious about the film if they ever do it. Fuck X-Men Apocalypse. Fuck Bryan Singer's fanfiction. That's what it is! Now I know how my friend Matt feels when it comes to how he felt about the Resident Evil films. Now I can truly feel your pain because I'm seeing that same shit happen in the X-Men films now. Bryan Singer, I was hoping and praying he would come back to the franchise. And then he does, and now I'm like, get the fuck away from the franchise. I'm praying that he will get away from the franchise now and leave. Because he's lost his fucking mind. And in some parts, it's not entirely his fault. Because the whole timeline problems, the whole continuity issues, that's in large part to blame because of First Class. Which I fucking loathe. I don't just hate that movie, I loathe it. Because that is the film that caused this full franchise to be fucked up beyond recognition. It's all because of First Class, with its bullshit of playing fast and loose with the continuity of the franchise, and having all these characters in the 60s, before they were even born in the comics, making shit up like Mystique is Xavier's stepsister, throwing in shit like Havoc, Alex Summers, who is Cyclops' younger brother, is somehow a member of the team before Cyclops is. You make it so Beast, who was one of the first members of the First Class team, is in it, but you have some stupid shit that he becomes furry way too early because, oh, I have big feet. Oh, God, this is so embarrassing. I'm such a freak. You just have big feet. Put on some shoes. There's a reason to inject some shit into your... In the comics, it made sense why he became Beast, why he became the big furry blue beast. Because he had no choice. Because after the years of abuse his body had taken from being a member of the First Class of X-Men, he was going to die if he didn't take the serum. So he took the serum to save his life, and it turned him into this big blue furry beast. That makes more sense than, oh, my feet are too big, duh! So that's just, you know, Darwin, the guy whose one power is not to die, is the first to die, and he also happens to be black. This is racist. And then it just felt like Magneto. We wanted to do the Magneto movie, but we didn't do it. But instead we're going to do it here. So it's like Magneto is an anti-hero. And I'm like, Magneto is an asshole. Magneto wants to kill humanity. None of this shit. And Magneto was a member of the First Class X-Men. Bullshit! That never happened! Emma Frost was around in the 60s. No! She wasn't even... I don't even think she was even born yet! So just this continuity, it just fucked things up big time. Unbelievable. And people gave it a pass. And because of that, the franchise is fucked up. And then you have Days of Future Past, which can't have Kitty Pryde in the story. She was a huge part of the comic. Can't be in the film, except for a little cameo, because of this, as a First Class, fucking up the continuity. So now we have to have Wolverine by himself. And then Bryan Singer just made the movie just so we could erase the events of X3. Which, in retrospect, that film's beginning to grow on me. It's just a fun action movie. Not the best adaptation of the Dark Phoenix storyline, but it's a better adaptation of the Dark Phoenix storyline than X-Men Days of Future Past is the adaptation of Days of Future Past. It just felt like, I just want to erase X3, and I don't care what happens. And in the process, he basically sets the reset button in the entire franchise and erases not only X3, but all the other previous films. So now we have X-Men Apocalypse. We have Apocalypse looking like Ivan Ooze's blue-skinned Egyptian brother. which looks shitty. He looks like a Power Ranger villain. You have Angel, who was a teenager in the 80s, and he was a teenager in X-Men Last Stand. But of course, it doesn't matter because that timeline was erased because of some reset button bullshit that, you know, Bryan Singer pulled in Days of Future Past. And now it takes place in the 80s, so we're having Age of Apocalypse, but not really. Way too early. And I'm just like, what the fuck? Mystique is a member of the X-Men, and she's like also a leader of the team, it seems like, and she's not, doesn't even have the scales or anything. She's just Jennifer Lawrence in a leather suit. Because she has control of her powers now, which I didn't think the skin was a part of, you know, her scales and stuff were a part of her power or anything. I mean, she did lose them, I believe, in X-Men 3. So we're doing this shit again? Where, oh, the mutants have found a way to cure themselves. Like, we already do that shit in X3? So we're going to have another boring plot where another big mutant wants to enslave humanity. Wash, rinse, and repeat. This time it's Apocalypse. Can we please reboot this franchise already? It's fucking... It's like beating a dead horse now. It's the same shit every fucking movie. And they're going to have to reboot it because the X-Men First Class actors, their contract's going to run up soon, and they're not going to want to show up for anymore. So I don't trust Fox with the franchise. I don't trust Singer, because all he's doing is making X-Men fan fiction and basically shredding the comics and taking the source material and pissing and shitting on it and doesn't give a shit about it. Is rewriting his own shit, pulling shit out of his ass, like Storm and Storm and Magneto are one of the Horsemen of the Apocalypse, which makes no fucking sense because they've never been Horsemen of the Apocalypse in any of the comics. None of the comics. There's not one comic where Magneto and Storm have been one of the Horsemen of the Apocalypse. You have Archangel and you have Psylocke, but you have her in a completely different decade. Psylocke was one of the members of the Age of Apocalypse in the future, in the Age of Apocalypse storyline, not the first incarnation of the Four Horsemen. So now you have like part Age of Apocalypse, which is a story I really like, but it's not actually being adapted because Bryan Singer's saying, fuck that shit, I'm writing my own shit, and it'll be better. And no, fuck you, Bryan Singer, your fan fiction stinks, I don't want to see it. Get the fuck out of this franchise. Stop. It's crazy. I didn't mind it in X-Men and X2, but I can't stand this shit anymore. I can't stand his constant disregard to the source material. I can't stand Fox's disregard to the source material. I can't stand the fact that they don't even want the X-Men to even wear their costumes anymore. I mean, this isn't the early 2000s anymore, when the X-Men actually did have leather suits. This is an era with Marvel films where they all wear their costumes, and nobody has a problem with it. But now in these X-Men movies, they're still dressed in black leather and shit. It's about time we have them wear their fucking costumes already. It's really sad to me that the best adaptation of X-Men comics is still the 90s animated series. And that was a cartoon on Fox Kids on Saturday mornings. And you still have not had a film that has come somewhat close to being as good of an adaptation of the comics as that show is. And no, I'm not expecting a 100% adaptation of the comics. It's not possible, especially not with a feature film. There's too much stuff. But it's not, I don't think it's too much to ask for a respectful adaptation. An adaptation respects the source material. Sure, it takes some creative liberties, but it doesn't just create fan fiction out of it. I don't know. I mean, Marvel's done that a few times with Iron Man 3, for instance, which I did not care for. But Fox is doing it constantly with X-Men. And it's not just one little thing. It's a huge, big thing. Entire parts of the story cut out. Entire continuity issues. throwing in parts of a future storyline into a storyline where it never happened, and having certain characters not be in there because of this fucking clusterfuck of a timeline. It's just, ah, fuck First Class. That's why. That's the reason why this shit is happening. That's the reason why this franchise is so fucked up right now. It's because of First Class, which was trying to be a prequel slash reboot. It should have just been a fucking reboot and not a prequel. How can it be a fucking prequel if Xavier gets his back broken in the '60s and he's still walking around and he's still friends with Magneto at the end of in X-Men Origins, Wolverine, he's friends with Magneto, and he's younger, and he's bald then, and then he's walking around, and just, oh, because that fucking timeline doesn't exist anymore. Oh god, just talking about X-Men, this X-Men shit. If I talk about it any longer, it's just gonna give me a really bad headache. A fucking head explode. Next fucking topic, please. God. Captain America, X-Men, Star Wars, Anchorman 3, don't care, do not give a shit. Blah, 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 blah. Harrison Ford wants to do Indiana Jones 5. I don't know. I really don't. I liked Cream of Crystal Skull, but Harrison is getting up there. Maybe one more movie. Saw the Zoolander 2 trailer. Looks like it might be fun. I might check that out, but not in the theater. But I mean, I might check it out. I'll check it out sometime because I do like Zoolander. Black Panther, Black Panther, Black Panther. I mean, I'm kind of curious to how they do Black Panther in the film Civil War, but at the same time, I'm not a huge Black Panther fan. I don't think I've ever read a single Black Panther comic, so I can't really say that I'm the guy who's like, yeah, Black Panther. Might be bear rape in the Revenant. What? Okay, all right, bear rape. I like Kurt. This is a great moment of Kurt Russell being Kurt fucking Russell. He's talking about sex scenes in movies. In my career, I've only done a couple of scenes of which there was open sexuality. There was always a story point. I did find a story point in that one. He was talking about the scene in An Officer and a Gentleman. He was offered the lead, and he didn't take it. And he didn't find a story point in that one, and they were just letting you know that the people like to fuck. And my problem with that was that everybody knows you're faking it. That's just not the way I work. Fake fucking is tough. And I agree with Kurt Russell. I mean, yeah, he really is Kurt fucking Russell. I mean, when Kurt fucking Russell wants to fuck, he's gonna fuck for real because he's Kurt fucking Russell. None of this fake fucking. Not for Kurt fucking Russell. Batman vs. Superman and fucking Zod's Day. No, I'm not talking about it. Steven Spielberg does not. He does not feel that Indiana Jones should continue without Harrison Ford. I agree. We need to draw a line somewhere when it comes to these reboots and this kind of stuff like that. We need to draw a line somewhere and say that no, this is it. Not every franchise can be like James Bond and we can just recast the character over and over again. You know, I really think we need to draw a line and say, no, after Harrison Ford retires, that's it. There will be no more Indiana Jones films. And that's fine, because Harrison Ford is Indiana Jones. Let him have that role. Like, what's wrong with that? I mean, let certain actors have certain roles that are theirs. Harrison Ford has done more than enough for us in terms of entertainment for him to deserve that. Just let him have that role. That's his role. Just like Han Solo. Don't have a Han Solo movie later that has like a prequel where a young Han Solo. Don't have a Rambo prequel where there's a new Rambo. Don't give me that shit. Sylvester Stallone is Rambo. Just like Sylvester Stallone's going to be Rocky. And John McClane's going to be Bruce Willis. We don't need this stupid prequel slash sequel idea that Fox is thinking about doing for Die Hard, which is stupid. I don't want to see young John McClane. I don't want to see, the John McClane Chronicles, like my friend Matt said. I'm like, that is. I don't want to see young Indiana. I didn't really care for young Indiana Jones Chronicles, and I don't want to see the young John McClane Chronicles either. It's just, I just feel that we do need to draw a line somewhere where certain films, just certain franchises, are not to be rebooted. Period. But they're recognizable titles, yeah, but that doesn't mean you have to reboot them. Doesn't mean you have to turn them into a cash grab. Doesn't mean you have to do that. You have other ideas. Alan Quartermain, Uncharted. Do that. Leave Indiana Jones alone. If Harrison Ford doesn't want to do another one, that's it. But he does want to do one, but if he can't do another one, that's it. That's it. There's no more Indiana Jones. There's plenty of comics. There's plenty of video games. Just stick with that. And I love the character. I love Indiana Jones. The trilogy I actually like more than the Star Wars trilogy. Or really, I consider it a trilogy, the first 3 films, and the 4th movie. It originally was a trilogy, but even with the 4th film, I still like it more than the Star Wars films, because I don't like the prequels at all. And I like Indy 4. I don't think it's as bad as people make it out to be. I really don't. That's another story. But, yeah. I like Indiana Jones. I really love Indiana Jones, but I don't need a reboot that has a new Indiana Jones. I don't need that. But what about for a new generation? Maybe the new generation should just find the original films and just discover them for themselves and watch those movies. Because, even in the 80s, this current generation didn't always have to have a reboot or a remake of an older film in order for them to be introduced to an older movie, or for them to know that it exists and for them to check it out. Just find it for yourself. We don't need. I hate that excuse. Oh, it's a remake for a reboot for the new generation, so they can appreciate Indiana Jones and enjoy him. And I'm like, they can do that themselves by watching Raiders of the Lost Ark, or watching Temple of Doom, or watching The Last Crusade. They don't need a new Indiana Jones reboot for them to appreciate or discover the original Indiana Jones films. That's so stupid. Just watch the original movies. Find them and watch them. You don't need a reboot or a remake to get people from a new generation to appreciate a certain film. If it's good and it's a great movie, like those movies are, at least the first 3, they're going to stand the test of time anyway. They don't need a reboot or a remake in order for people to be introduced to these characters and to appreciate them and to enjoy them. That's stupid. I don't get it. Here we go, more news. Don't care about so much of this news assembling is just about Star Wars, Civil War, Batman vs. Superman. Just Star Wars, Batman vs. Superman. And, Captain America, Civil War. This is... what George Lucas thought about Star Wars The Force Awakens. I don't care what he thinks about Force Awakens. Don't give a shit. Family Guy movie. Don't care. Don't want to see it. Krampus. I wanted to see it until I figured I learned that it was PG-13. Then I'm really leery of the film, and I'll probably see it sometime, but I'm not going to see it in the theater. I'm not. I probably wasn't going to anyway, but I'm definitely not going to now. I mean, PG-13 is just... why? Why did they do that? This trailer, though, I did like. I saw the trailer for The Nice Guys, which is Shane Black's new movie with Ryan Gosling and Russell Crowe, and I really liked it, except for some bad CGI, blood or whatever, but for the most part it looked like fun. It looked like a return to form for Shane Black. It looked like a huge step up from Iron Man 3. And it looked like an entertaining, fun throwback, take place in the 70s, fun action buddy cop comedy. or buddy comedy, buddy, crime comedy. It's not really they're not really cops, but it looked like fun. It looked like a real you know blast from the past, and I am definitely really curious about that film. So yes, there are some trailers I've seen lately that I do want to see. For movies that I was intrigued by and I did like. It's just not X-Men Apocalypse or Batman versus Superman: Dawn of Justice or Captain America: Civil War. There's a Phil Hartman biopic. I love Phil Hartman, and it's so tragic what happened to him. I mean, he was murdered by his wife, pretty much. He had a psychotic breakdown and killed him. I think she killed herself. It's just horrible. Friday the 13th, a remake just got delayed again because it lost its director. Just don't do a remake then. Just do a sequel to the 2009 film. There will be some people who complain because they didn't like the 2009 movie, but if you just bring back Derek Mears and you get a horror director, a guy who knows what he's doing, who's done some good slashers, and you just, for example, have it take place in the winter, bam, there you go. People will see it, it'll make money, and there you go. Why is this taking so long? Why is it stuck in development hell for so long? Just make a sequel. Just do another Friday the 13th movie. It's just a stalking slasher with Jason Voorhees in a hockey mask killing teens in ingenious ways. It it's not rocket science. It shouldn't take years to get another sequel. It's nowhere near the same as Nightmare on Elm Street, where you really need the right approach to make it work. Friday the 13th is just, hey, a bunch of teenagers, Camp Crystal Lake, Jason comes back and kills them. Make it a fun, fast-paced slasher with some good gore, and people will eat it up. And Friday the 13th fans will be pleased with it. It's not that hard. Next, alright, Trainspotting 2. Surprised it's getting a sequel. I don't really know why it's getting a sequel. That was a cult film, and I don't really see a need for a sequel for that movie, but okay. Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon 2 trailer. I didn't like the first Crouching Dragon, first movie, the Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. I wasn't a big fan of that movie, so I don't really care about the sequel. Do not give a shit. Willow 2. In my dreams. Really, in my dreams. And Ron Howard was asked about it, and he said, right now, the Lucasfilm team, led by Kathleen Kennedy, who's an old dear friend, is entirely myopically focused on the Star Wars universe, as you can imagine. So I think the media possibility of another Willow movie is probably not on the front burner. But Warwick Davis is such a cool guy, and he's continued to evolve as a talent. Man, he's Willow. And a grown-up Willow would be kind of cool, so I'd say never. That would be cool. I'd rather see Willow 2 than any of these Star Wars spin-offs, and I'm being honest. That's just me personally. Star Trek Beyond footage coming soon. We'll see. Kill Bill 3. Why? We don't need Kill Bill 3. 202 screenwriter probably thinks the protests are stupid. I agree. Strangers 2 just took a big step forward. Why? We don't need a sequel to that piece of shit. It was okay, people liked it. I thought the movie was awful. The Deadpool Corps, which I already signed up for. As you can see, I'm running out of energy. I'm almost done. I'm almost caught up, with the current news. Trailer for the BFG, not the big fucking gun, the big fucking giant or whatever, big freaking giant. I really don't like that book and don't really care about the movie. It's just me. Just me personally. Some stupid article in Cinema Blend says 5 moments to prove that George Lucas is actually a genius. Maybe he was a genius at one point in time. Maybe he was a cool guy. Not anymore. I saw the trailer for Legend of Tarzan. Not impressed. A lot of CGI. I'm gonna stick with Greystoke. Legend of Tarzan. I think it was Legend of Tarzan. Was it King of the Apes? I think it was King of the Apes, but Lord of the Apes. Legend of Tarzan, Lord of the Apes, starring Christopher Lambert. Great practical makeup effects on the apes by Rick Baker. And it's not action-packed, but the original Tarzan books weren't. The original novel by Edgar Rice Burroughs was not some action-packed adventure book. The Greystoke was closer to the actual source material than any of these other Tarzan movies. This new Tarzan movie looks like Tarzan in the Lost City with Casper Van Dien, but, you know, a little bit of a bigger budget. That's what it looks like to me. Tarzan looks way too clean. It looks like Tarzan in New York, or, you know, some homeless guy. I don't know. He really did a homeless supermodel. It really, and the CGI, and then Sam Jackson is in this for some reason. Just being Sam Jackson and overacting. I know this is controversial, but I think Sam Jackson is an overrated actor right now. I really do. Like, what the hell has he done lately that's been fantastic and great? He's not evolved as an actor. He plays the same character. He just plays himself in almost every movie. And it's just gotten really old for me. Although The Kingsman, though, he did do something a little bit different, which I did like. So it seems like it's just one of those things where Sam Jackson can be a really good actor if he wants to be, but then he'll also take paycheck roles and he'll just wing it. And I understand why, but Sam Jackson probably has enough money with all these advertising deals and other shit that he doesn't need to take these paycheck roles. Being shit like Tarzan, The Legend of Tarzan. Okay, Let's see what the first page is. I'm just trying to see because I got a few more pages, but I want to end this long, you know, episode of Talking Cinema with with my thoughts on something that shit. I knew it was coming. I knew the film was being made. I knew that this is all going to happen. And I just wasn't prepared for this. The trailer for terrible, moldy, nasty taints 2 Out of the Shadows, which originally was Half Shell, but then they changed it to Out of the Shadows, which is kind of crazy to me. It's like, Out of the Shadows? Isn't that the name of that recent Ninja Turtles video game? Why are you maybe it's trying to cash in on that? I don't know. I have no idea. So you had the director of Earth to Echo this time, and not Jonathan Liebsman. And I have to admit, from the trailer, there isn't as much shaky cam, and it seems like the action sequences might be a little bit better. But we still have the fugly-ass looking Ninja Turtles. So, doesn't matter. Doesn't matter if the action sequences are better than me, because I can't stand looking at them. Can't stand looking at the Turtles. Then we have Megan Fox, who's basically just a stripper in this movie. April O'Neil is just a stripper in this movie. Great, she's a fucking dressing up in a schoolgirl outfit, and she's just, it's just insulting, especially the character of April O'Neil. How much of the Turtles going to be in this movie? Are they going to be supporting characters in their own movie again? I would hope not, but I would not be surprised if they are. They're in the turtle van. Mikey raps. It is annoying. You have Run DMC song Tricky in the trailer for some reason. Tricky. I mean, Just terrible choice of music. Tyler Perry's Baxter Stockman. He's running around like he's on cocaine. Like, what the hell is wrong with Tyler Perry in this trailer? He's like, hey, I'm Baxter Stockman. Ha! Do some weird shit. And then you have Bebop and Rocksteady. And fucking God. Rocksteady is played by Sheamus, the current WWE champion. I cannot believe I'm saying those words, but it's true. And then you have this other guy, and I think his last name is Anthony, and he's playing Bebop, Gary Williams, not Anthony, and he looks like a fucking poser. And there are people saying he looks badass. What is badass about this guy? He's a comedian who has a mohawk and he's trying to look and act tough, and it's not believable at all. He looks ridiculous, and he is not intimidating. He's supposed to, he looks bad. Bullshit. He looks like ass. Yeah, he looks badass, as in bad ass, as in a piece of bad ass, like an ass that is bad because it's incontinent and can't stop shitting. That's what he looks like. If you're talking about being badass. And then you have Bebop and Rocksteady, stupid lines of dialogue and stupid shit, and then it just looks like a stupid fucking movie. And it just doesn't look entertaining to me. It doesn't look like fun to me. It just looks like fucking pain. It's like the last film was. So, yeah. I guess I'll end it there. Fuck this bullshit. Fuck these terrible, moldy, nasty taints. Get them the fuck out of my face. Those are not the Ninja Turtles. Those are not the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Those are terrible, moldy, nasty taints. And they stink. And that's all I got for movie news. That's all I got for this episode of Talking Cinema. It's pretty much wore me out. I don't have anything else to say. I hope you guys enjoyed watching it anyway, and I'm gonna go refuel. And thank you for watching. I'll see you guys later. See ya.